How many people are going to die before this is over? Not as many as would have if we weren't here. Now hush and pass me a bandage. I did not see good Templars and evil mages in that circle, sister. I saw prisoners and jailers. The prisoners learned fear, and the jailers cruelty.
But the Templars served the Chantry.
Until we asked them to be less harsh in their treatment of the mages, at which point they rebelled. I am not certain the Chantry should ever have been backed by blades.
Does it trouble you?
I just wish I knew what it was, or how I got it.
We will find out. What's important is that your mark is now stable, as is the breach. You've given us time, and Solas believes a second attempt might succeed, provided the mark has more power. The same level of power used to open the breach in the first place. That is not easy to come by.
Couldn't that kind of power just make things worse?
And people call me a pessimist. You've met Commander Cullen, leader of the Inquisition's forces.
It was only for a moment on the field. I'm pleased you survived.
This is Lady Josephine Montelier, our ambassador and chief diplomat.
I've heard much. It's a pleasure to meet you at last.
And of course, you know Sister Liliana.
My position here involves a degree of...
She is our spy master.
Yes, tactfully put, Cassandra. Pleased to meet you all.
I mentioned that your mark needs more power to close the breach for good.
Which means we must approach the rebel mages for help.
And I still disagree. The Templars could serve just as well.
We need power, Commander. Enough magic poured into that mark.
Might destroy us all. Templars could suppress the breach, weaken it, so...
Pure speculation.
I was a Templar. I know what they're capable of.
Unfortunately, neither group will even speak to us yet. The Chantry has denounced the Inquisition, and you specifically.
That didn't take long.
Shouldn't they be busy arguing over who's going to become divine?
Some are calling you, a mage, the Herald of Andraste. That frightens the Chantry. The remaining clerics have declared it blasphemy, and we, heretics, for harboring you.
Chancellor Roderick's doing, no doubt.
It limits our options. Approaching the mages or Templars for help is currently out of the question.
Just how am I the Herald of Andraste?
People saw what you did at the temple, how you stopped the breach from growing. They have also heard about the woman seen in the rift when we first found you. They believe that was Andraste.
Even if we tried to stop that view from spreading...
Which we have not.
The point is, everyone is talking about you.
It's quite the title, isn't it? How do you feel about that?
It's... a little unsettling.
I'm sure the Chantry would agree.
People are desperate for a sign of hope. For some, you're that sign.
And to others, a symbol of everything that's gone wrong.
Will the Chantry attack us?
With what? They have only words at their disposal.
And yet, they may bury us with them.
There is something you can do. A Chantry cleric by the name of Mother Giselle has asked to speak to you. She is not far, and knows those involved far better than I. Her assistance could be invaluable. Why would someone from the Chantry help a declared heretic? I understand she's a reasonable sort. Perhaps she does not agree with her sisters. You will find Mother Giselle tending to the wounded in the hinterlands near Redcliffe.
Look for other opportunities to expand the Inquisition's influence while you're there.
We need agents to extend our reach beyond this valley, and you're better suited than anyone to recruit them.
In the meantime, let's think of other options. I won't leave this all to the Herald.
All right.
Let's see what we have. Let us begin.
Where is the urchin? I require the services of the urchin! You may pet the tiny bear, but be gentle. A Magister miniaturized him specially at great cost. He answers to Chauncey. Well, I'm obviously in no position to judge.
See reason, Lisette. We cannot stay here.
Why not?
Because we're Templars.
What does that even mean anymore? That we splinter and fight amongst ourselves instead of protecting the mages?
Better that than stay here with this Inquisition.
You're awfully quick to dismiss the people who saved your life, Matrin. You're the one they're calling the Herald.
If you know a way to make them stop, I'm all ears.
I don't. These things have a way of taking on their own life. But I'm glad it has not run to your head. I did not join the Order to adjust my faith so easily. But I appreciate what the Inquisition is trying to do, and your role in it. Though you may find not many Templars do. We're a distrustful lot by nature.
How did you come to be a Templar?
It seemed the right thing to do. My family are tradesfolk in Denerim. I could have become a cobbler like my father, but this seemed better. It's a chance to uphold the Chantry's laws and help the mages through a troubled time.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Not all Templars want to make mages into prisoners or villains. Some of us just want to keep a balance and let you practice your craft in safety. One person trying to do something can make a difference. You should keep that in mind, Harold.
I'd like your take on the Templar Order.
It's a shadow of what it was. Where once we both protected all people from the dangers of magic, we now posture and grab at power. One day, I hope the circles are again sanctuaries where mages can practice their craft.
You're not going to rejoin the Order?
When the temple went up, your forces rescued those few of us still alive. My life is a debt I intend to repay, however I can.
Do you have any idea what caused the explosion?
No, I'm just a recruit. Belief and faith doesn't get you closer to the important meetings. Though that distance did save my life.
I will talk to you later.
Walk in the Maker's grace.
Come on, you've seen our mounts. Most of them should be pulling plows.
You didn't all grow up with fancy noble horses, Arnsberg. You ride whatever holds you. Why are you here with the scouts instead of fobbing around with the nobles anyway?
My uncle died at the conclave. I'm a good rider, and, well, I thought I'd be more useful here.
We'll see.
I'm glad there are big, strong men around in case anything happens here in Haven.
Now, don't you worry about that sort of thing, girl. You need something? Let me know.
Ugh.
You're kind of a force of nature, aren't you?
When I need to be.
It's impressive.
You flatter me.
I'm trying.
Did I do the right thing? What I have set in motion here could destroy everything I have revered my whole life. One day they may write about me as a traitor, a madwoman, a fool. And they may be right.
What does your faith tell you?
I believe you are innocent. I believe more is going on here than we can see. And I believe no one else cares to do anything about it. They will stand in the fire and complain that it is hot. But is this the Maker's will? I can only guess.
You don't think I'm the Herald of Andraste?
I think you were sent to help us. I hope you were. But the Maker's help takes many forms. Sometimes it's difficult to discern who it truly benefits, or how.
What's going to happen now?
Now, We deal with the Chantry's panic over you before they do even more harm. Then we close the breach. We are the only ones who can. After that, we find out who is responsible for this chaos, and we end them. And if there are consequences to be paid for what I have done, I pay them. I only pray the price is not too high.
You didn't have any choice.
Didn't I? My trainers always said, Cassandra, you are too brash. You must think before you act. I see what must be done, and I do it. I see no point in running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. But I misjudged you in the beginning, did I not? I thought the answer was before me, clear as day. I cannot afford to be so careless again.
Can't say I'm not grateful to hear that.
I can be harsh, I know. I'm curious. Do you even believe in the Maker?
I can't really say.
I suppose it doesn't matter now. I have to believe we were put on this path for a reason, even if you do not. Now it simply remains to see where it leads us. It occurs to me I don't actually know much about you.
What do you want to know?
I'm not sure. Where are you from?
I thought you knew that.
I suppose I could ask Liliana. She has collected a frightening amount of information on you. But I don't want to ask her. I want to hear it from you.
The Circle of Magi at Ostwick. At least until the rebellion began.
Yes, I suppose that would have required you to stay on the move. Tell me, do you consider the Free Marches your home? Are you eager to go back?
Wherever I am is home enough for me.
That's how I feel now, after years of tending to business for the Divine.
May I ask you about the Chantry?
It is difficult to say what becomes of the Chantry now. They have no Templars, no leadership, and no one left who is worthy of succeeding the Divine. It has fallen apart when everyone needs it the most. I ache to think what this will mean in the days to come.
Do you really believe the Chantry is worth preserving?
If you ask my opinion, it is. Absolutely. Cast the Chantry aside and new problems replace old ones. We will have learned nothing from history. The people need stability, and the Chantry needs a new purpose. Andraste had a dream for us. It can still be achieved.
So, what should this new purpose be?
A dedication to what is truly important. Instead of building cathedrals and sewing gowns for the Divine, the Chantry used to spend its coin feeding the poor. If we are to spread the Maker's word across the world, we must do so with open hearts and open hands.
That sounds rather idealistic of you.
Does it? I do not think it's so unachievable. The Chantry has many good, honest people. They just need direction and inspiration. They need to be freed from centuries of adherence to tradition and ceremony. A chance for renewal is at our fingertips. It does not have to come with utter chaos.
What influence does Chancellor Roderick really wield?
He's a bureaucrat, responsible for communicating the Divine's will to the rest of the Chantry. Therefore, he's accustomed to the clerics hanging on his every word, hoping his influence will benefit them. Despite that, Roderick is not a bad man. He's frightened, and believes his place is to fill the gap left by Most Holy's death. Some might agree. As far down the chain of command as he is, there is no one left above him.
How big a problem could he be?
No more than he is already. He sent his message to the College of Clerics. That is the only card he had to play. Dealing with him further only lends him credibility he doesn't deserve.
Will the Chantry replace Divine Justinian?
They will try. Once the priests withdraw for the Grand Consensus, it is against Chantry law for them to emerge without naming a new divine. Sometimes it takes days, or weeks, or even months. The problem now is that no clear successor to Justinia exists. All worthy clerics died with her at the conclave.
So what happens if they can't agree on someone?
Theoretically, they will argue until exhaustion takes them or they see reason. Practically, however, if the Grand Consensus goes on too long, the Chantry will crumble. Any cleric with ambition but little sense will see this as her one chance, and plenty of such clerics exist. We shall see what happens. The Inquisition must act in the meantime.
If they do choose a new divine, will you serve her?
That depends on whether she would have me. I am a rebel now, remember? And even if she would, I do not know. It would depend on what type of divine she is. I am no longer in a position to follow blindly, and no new divine could expect such obedience now.
I'm surprised you rebelled against the Chantry.
I left my own order when they took the wrong path. It is no different. But in neither case did I stop caring. Indeed, I care so much that I feel drastic action is necessary. I suppose history shall one day judge my actions.
Thank you.
Greetings.
Can you tell me more about the Seekers?
The Seekers of Truth were born from the original Inquisition long ago, when it united with the Chantry. Seekers stood above the Templars, watching over them but also investigating magical events they couldn't handle. We were meant to be incorruptible, above reproach. How seldom does reality match the ideal?
But what are Seekers exactly?
Those who know anything of us think we are Templars. We do not use lyrium, however. Our abilities are different, as was our original purpose. We disciplined the Templars and were accountable only to the Divine. And not even her, truthfully.
So the Seekers commanded the Templars?
No, the Order didn't assume command until after the rebellion. The Templars have always feared us. When a Seeker arrived at a circle, they knew trouble was afoot. That kind of power is troubling. You begin to think you are the only one who can solve the world's problems. If you don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. If someone insists it does, they are the blind ones.
Do you think that kind of problem could ever be fixed?
Possibly. Though the Seekers themselves would need to change. They were clearly not willing to, even though they abandoned everything they stood for to avoid it. In my heart, I believe they can still be salvaged, but not by their own hands.
You mentioned that Seekers have different abilities than Templars.
Entirely. A Templar's abilities come from lyrium and are designed to hunt mages. Ours come from ritual and many years of dedicated training. We cannot be possessed by demons and are immune to mind control. Useful, considering our role. Seekers can gain other gifts, but that depends on the individual.
What kind of gifts do you have?
I can set the lyrium within a person's blood aflame. Both mages and Templars bend before my will. Some Seekers use it to interrogate, others simply to paralyze. Once there was a Seeker who could use it to kill. That particular gift is considered rare.
Why did your order turn against the Chantry?
We originally united with the Chantry through a treaty that stated they would keep mages under control. It was felt Most Holy had tacitly allowed the Circle of Magi to vote on its independence, thus breaking the treaty. The Seekers saw themselves as justified, and they led the Templars into a war of righteousness.
You sound like you disagree.
We knew what was happening at Kirkwall, where the Mage Rebellion began. We looked into reports of Knight Commander Meredith's harsh treatment of her charges years earlier. But we found so many shocking cases of magical corruption it was decided her actions were justified. If we'd been there when it happened, if we'd looked harder at the root causes...
What happened couldn't be avoided. It started long ago.
We weren't helpless. We had the power to act and chose not to. When faced with a problem, the Seekers would close ranks and crush it. We would find an answer, but only once we felt we weren't being coerced. The moment the mages voted for independence, our response was predictable. It was difficult to watch.
How does someone become a Seeker?
Most Seekers begin training in their youth. I was much older, an exception due to my noble birth. We train rigorously for years. Our bodies and minds must be elastic to undergo the vigil, and most fail even then.
Is the vigil some kind of initiation?
It is the rite every Seeker must go through in order to summon their gifts. A full year of fasting, prayer, and separation from all distractions, including other people. We empty ourselves of all emotion, focusing only on the purity of our devotion. And the moment it finally ends, it's wonderful. Faith realized. I cannot put it into words.
Was it some kind of magic?
I don't fully understand it, to be honest. If the vigil was not so arduous, I'd say more should attempt it. What if mages never needed to fear possession by demons? I'm told it is impossible, however. I suppose I'll never know the truth of it now.
I've no more questions.
Greetings.
I'd like to get to know you better.
You would?
Is that a problem?
Not entirely. I'm just curious as to your motivation.
No motivation, beyond making things between us less...
Antagonistic?
Exactly.
As you wish. My name is Cassandra Pentecost, daughter of the Royal House of Navarra, 78th in line for the Navarran throne. I joined the Seekers of Truth as a young woman, and was with the Order until they withdrew from the Chantry. I remained as the Divine's right hand, carrying out her order to form the Inquisition. And here we are. That's all there is to know, my lady.
So you were the right hand to the Divine?
To Divine Justinia, yes. And Divine Beatrix before her, in fact. The position is normally reserved for Templars of the Knights Divine, but my circumstances were unusual.
Unusual how?
You don't know the story? Thank the Maker. I will tell you if you wish, but it isn't as exciting as some drum it up to be. The short version is that I once saved the previous Divine's life. My reward was becoming her right hand.
But what does a right hand do, exactly?
What is your hand capable of? It gives, it takes, it beckons. It makes a fist. Liliana and I extended the Divine's reach beyond the Grand Cathedral. We went where she could not. After Beatrix, I was tired of the position and wanted to return to the Seekers. But Justinia convinced me to stay. Her vision for the future gave me hope.
You thought she could really change things?
Justinia knew the war was coming long before it began. She tried to avert it, but the forces arrayed against her were too strong. Sometimes you have to break a bone so it can be reset. That's where the Inquisition comes in. It was to be the answer. A means to preserve as well as an agent for change. I only wish she had lived to see it.
So, what's the story about you becoming the right hand?
Sweet Andraste, do you really want to hear that? It was, what, 18, 20 years ago? Some still discuss it like it happened yesterday. The tale gets bigger each time it's told. I barely recognize myself within it now.
That's what happens with stories that become legends.
I am not a legend, nor was I then. I was a young woman barely out of training. To hear others tell it, I alone saved Divine Beatrix from a horde of dragons sent to assault the Grand Cathedral. Rather impressive for such a young seeker, wouldn't you say?
And the truth is?
I stumbled upon a conspiracy to kill Beatrix. A Templar Knight Commander was at its heart, and there was a dragon battle at the Grand Cathedral that I had help from loyal mages who rallied to the cause. They freed the dragons from magical control. Without them, the Divine and I would both have died. Yet I became the right hand, and they are forgotten.
What happened to the mages that helped you?
They went back to their circles, with rewards and privileges and most holy's gratitude. Many of them died at the convent.
You're delightful. You know that?
No, I do not know that. I object. There is nothing delightful about me.
I beg to differ.
I think I preferred you in the stocks.
You're a member of Navarra's royal family.
The Pentegasts are a very large clan. Half of Cumberland could say the same.
Really?
No, but it feels that way. I have hundreds of relatives so distant they need charts to prove we're related at all. And they have them. Oh yes. The Pentegasts value their precious blood like it runs with gold.
So not on very good terms with your family, then?
I do not visit, if that's what you mean. The Pentegasts are famed for dragon hunting, but few actually pursue the craft. Most are fat and lazy. They pay lip service to the Maker and care only for idle pleasures and past glories. My brother was all that kept me in Navarra. Once he was gone, so was I.
Tell me about your brother.
I would prefer not to speak of Anthony. Another time, perhaps.
You don't seem to like your homeland much.
My family polluted it for me. What little I saw of my homeland was through the bars of a gilded cage. My uncle treated me like a porcelain doll to be placed on a shelf and dusted only when necessary. Thus, I did not see Navarra, the real Navarra, until much later. By then, I realized I knew it not at all.
Your uncle? What about your parents?
They had the misfortune of taking the wrong side in the second attempt to overthrow King Marcus. The king executed them, but spared my brother and I since we were family and children at the time. Thus we were raised by my uncle, a mortalitasi who preferred the company of his corpses to the living.
Your uncle was a mortalitasi?
A death mage. He still is. My countrymen do not burn the dead, they bury them in special crypts. The mortalitasi supervise the crypts, like priests. Uncle Vestalis oversees the grand necropolis. Navarrans spend more time honoring dead relatives than they do with living ones. It is odd to be so fascinated with death and its trappings. I will never understand it.
I'll let you get back to work.
You there. There's a shield in your hand. Block with it. If this man were your enemy, you'd be dead. Lieutenant, don't hold back. The recruits must prepare for a real fight, not a practice one.
Yes, Commander.
We've received a number of recruits. Locals from Haven and some pilgrims. None made quite the entrance you did.
That wasn't my idea.
I'd be concerned if it was. I was recruited to the Inquisition in Kirkwall myself. I was there during the Mage Uprising. I saw firsthand the devastation it caused.
Sir.
Cassandra sought a solution. When she offered me a position, I left the Templars to join her cause. Now it seems we face something far worse.
You left the Templars for this. You believe the Inquisition can work?
I do. The Chantry lost control of both Templars and Mages. Now they argue over a new divine while the breach remains. The Inquisition could act when the Chantry cannot. Our followers would be part of that. There's so much we can...
Forgive me. I doubt you came here for a lecture.
No, but if you have one prepared, I'd love to hear it.
Another time, perhaps. There's still a lot of work ahead.
Commander, Sir Ryden has a report on our supply lines.
As I was saying. You traveled some distance to reach Haven. You're from the Circle in Ostwick?
I spent the better part of my life there. It feels strange to be away.
It does at times. I'm still getting used to it myself. It's been interesting. I'm sorry. The Circle isn't the most pleasant topic of conversation right now, or ever. Shall we speak of something else?
Why would Templars break away from the Chantry?
The Order believes the Chantry no longer supports their efforts. Not to the extent they should.
But the Templars have served the Chantry for ages.
And in that time, they've come to take the Order's services for granted. Templars risk their lives against blood magic, demons, abominations, to feel as if those efforts are dismissed. I may disagree with the Order's actions, but I'm here as proof of that. But I sympathize with their frustrations.
I should get to know you better. We are working together after all.
What would you like to know?
All right. Where are you from?
I grew up in Ferelden, near Honwell. I was transferred to Kirkwall shortly after the Blight. This is the first I've returned in almost 10 years.
Varric's from Kirkwall. Did you two know each other?
I knew he was friends with the champion of Kirkwall, but little else. We've spoken more since I joined the Inquisition, largely at Varric's insistence. Apparently, I spend too much time with a serious expression on my face, and it's bad for my health.
You haven't seen Ferelden in 10 years. Are you glad to be back?
I was not sorry to leave at the time. I did not expect to return. Now, between the Divine's murder and the breach, I've arrived to find nothing but chaos.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight. Did you fight Darkspawn?
No. I was stationed at Ferelden's Circle Tower. The Circle had troubles of its own. I remained there during the Blight.
What happened at the Circle Tower?
Few who survived the Blight have fond memories of that time. I would prefer not to speak of it.
What was Kirkwall like?
While I was there, Canary occupied and then attacked the city. The Viscount's murder caused political unrest. Relations between mages and Templars fell apart. An apostate blew up the Chantry, and the Knight Commander went mad. Other than that, it was fine.
What happened between Kirkwall's mages and Templars?
You were at the Conclave. You must have heard people speak of it.
Yes, but you were there.
There was tension between mages and Templars long before I arrived. Eventually, it reached a breaking point. There was fighting in the streets. Abominations began killing both sides. It was a nightmare.
What happened then?
The Templars should have restored order, but Red Lyrium had driven Knight Commander Meredith mad. She threatened to kill Kirkwall's champion, turned on her own men. I'm not sure how far she would have gone. Too far.
So you opposed her?
I stood with the champion against her, in the end. I should have seen through Meredith sooner.
I'll let you return to your work.
Another time, then. Yes?
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
If you need insight into what the Order is doing now, I'm afraid I can't offer more than you already know. Anything else, I will answer as best I can.
What does Templar training involve?
There is weapon and combat training. Even without their abilities, Templars are among the best warriors in Thedas. Initiates must also memorize portions of the Chant of Light, study history, and improve their mental focus.
Did you enjoy your training?
I wanted to learn everything. If I was giving my life to this, I would be the best Templar I could.
You were a model student.
I wanted to be. I wasn't always successful. Watching a candle burn down while reciting the Chant of Transfigurations wasn't the most exciting task. I admit, my mind sometimes wandered.
Why did you join the Order?
I could think of no better calling than to protect those in need. I used to beg the Templars at our local chantry to teach me. At first, they merely humored me. I must have shown promise, or at least a willingness to learn. The Knight Captain spoke to my parents on my behalf. They agreed to send me for training. I was 13 when I left home.
13? That's still so young.
I wasn't the youngest there. Some children are promised to the Order at infancy. Still, I didn't take on full responsibilities until I was 18. The Order sees you trained and educated first.
What about your family? Did you miss them?
Of course. But there were many my age who felt the same. We learned to look out for one another.
Prior to the Conclave, I'd only encountered Templars in the Circle. Did they do anything besides guard mages?
Templars protect against the dangers of magic. Before the Order left the Chantry, that meant serving in a circle. They were also tasked with tracking apostates or fighting demons inevitably summoned by the weak or malicious.
What do you think of mages? Are they all a threat?
I've seen the suffering magic can inflict. I've treated mages with distrust because of it, at times without cause. That was unworthy of me. I will try not to do so here. Not that I want mages moving through our base completely unchecked. We need safeguards in place to protect people, including mages, from possession, at least.
I know how I spent my time in the Circle, but what was a typical day for a Templar?
Typical? The last time I was in a circle was right before it fell apart. Nothing was typical.
Before that, then?
Certain rituals require a full guard. A mage's howling, for instance. I've attended a few. Most of the time, you merely maintain a presence, on patrol or in the circle, ready to respond if needed. Mages pretend to ignore that presence, but they're watching you just as closely.
We would spend all day with Templars, and yet they rarely spoke to us.
A habit often mistaken for coldness, I'm sure. But we are expected to keep a certain distance from our charges. If a mage is possessed or uses blood magic, he must act quickly, without hesitation. Your judgment cannot be clouded. Of course, ignoring one another does nothing to foster understanding.
Do Templars take vows? I swear to the Maker to watch all the mages. That sort of thing.
There's a vigil first. You're meant to be at peace during that time, but your life is about to change. When it's over, you give yourself to a life of service. That's when you're given a filter, your first draft of lyrium and its power. As Templars, we are not to seek wealth or acknowledgement. Our lives belong to the Maker and the path we have chosen.
A life of service and sacrifice. Are Templars also expected to give up physical temptations?
Physical? Why would you... That's not expected. Templars can marry, although there are rules around it, and the Order must grant permission. Some may choose to give up more to prove their devotion, but it's not required.
Have you?
Me? No. I've taken no such vows. Maker's breath. Can we speak of something else?
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Should you require anything, I'll be here. Was there something you needed?
Is there anything I should know?
Not at present.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
What do you think of our ambassador?
We have little in common. How she delights in meeting with nobles all day is beyond me. But I enjoy working with her.
How do you like working with Leliana?
The Inquisition would not exist without her. I may not always agree with her methods, but she's more passionate about our cause than anyone. Cassandra may have declared the Inquisition publicly, and Liliana is just as responsible for its formation.
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our numbers are small, but they suit our needs for the time being. Some Templars have joined us instead of following the Order. They've proven invaluable in training new recruits.
I should let you get back to work.
How could that great breach not have been caused by the mages?
It is reasonable to believe that magic was involved, but we cannot assume it was the rebels. How many powerful mages died at the Conclave Scout Palain? How would those deaths benefit the rebels?
I'm not sure.
Good. Now you're thinking. That's a start.
What's your name, anyway?
You may call me Charter, Scout Palain. Now lower your voice. Your report is not for the world at large. For she who trusts in the Maker, fire is her water. She should see fire and go. Greetings.
Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their blood the Maker's will is written.
So, now that Cassandra's out of earshot, are you holding up all right? I mean, you go from being the most wanted criminal in Thedas to joining the armies of the faithful. Most people would have spread that out over more than one day.
I have no idea what's happening anymore.
That makes two of us. For days now, we've been staring at the breach, watching demons and Maker knows what fall out of it. Bad for morale would be an understatement. I still can't believe anyone was in there and lived.
If it was that bad, why did you stay? Cassandra said you were free to go.
I like to think I'm as selfish and irresponsible as the next guy, but this... Thousands of people died on that mountain. I was almost one of them. And now there's a hole in the sky. Even I can't walk away and just leave that to sort itself out.
I'm still not sure I believe any of this is really happening.
If this is all just the Maker winding us up, I hope there's a damn good punchline coming. You might want to consider running at the first opportunity. I've written enough tragedies to recognize where this is going. Heroes are everywhere. I've seen that. But the hole in the sky... that's beyond heroes. We're going to need a miracle. Need something?
The red lyrium we found at the temple seemed to upset you.
My brother Bartrand and I sort of discovered red lyrium during an expedition in the Deep Roads. We located an ancient thaig, so old it barely looked dwarven. There was this idol there made of it. Bartrand brought it back to the surface, and, well, everything's gone downhill from there.
How did the red lyrium get in the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I don't know. As far as I knew, there was only one small piece of the original idol we brought out of the Deep Roads. And it's locked in a vault in Kirkwall, one I had built by the mining caste especially to hold it.
Why do you have red lyrium?
My brother kept a sliver when he sold it. I'm pretty sure he held on to it because it was already talking to him. That little shard drove him mad. I had him taken to a sanitarium and eventually found the fragment in his house. We brought the shit to the surface, Bartrand and I. I wanted to find out if there was a way to shut it up. So far, it looks like the answer is no.
If red lyrium is as dangerous as you say, why'd you keep it?
I've heard that shit singing to me. I know better than anyone how bad it is. In Orzammar, miners keep regular, non-crazy raw lyrium in special lead-lined containers. Actually, it's a huge secret how they're constructed. Keeps surface folk from horning in on the lyrium trade. I pulled a lot of strings and got a smith to build me 4 of them nested inside each other. Nobody gets to study it up close for more than an hour, and they have to wait a week between shifts.
So what is it? Just another kind of lyrium?
The red stuff is lyrium like a dragon is a lizard. It's not just a different color. It has a whole host of weirdness all its own. I've written to every mining cast house in Orzammar. No one's seen this stuff before or knows where it came from.
What makes it special?
Regular lyrium can mess you up pretty badly, but you have to ingest it for that to happen. Red lyrium messes with your mind when you're just near the stuff. You hear singing, get violent, paranoid, and then it does creepy shit. Makes things float, brings statues to life. I've had a few alchemists studying it in Kirkwall, in shifts.
I think that's enough on red lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject. Need something?
I read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead.
Where are the rest of Hawke's associates now?
Merrill decided to look after the elves left homeless by the fighting. She's done a pretty good job of keeping them away from the mages and Templars, so far. I guess she has plenty of practice avoiding stupid human battles with her old Dalish clan. Fenris has kept himself busy, hunting down the Tevinter slavers who came south to prey on the refugees. I'm not sure exactly where he is at the moment. You can usually follow the trail of corpses, though. Isabella went back to the raiders. She's calling herself an admiral now. I don't know if she's actually in charge or just has a really big hat. Might be the same thing, honestly. Sebastian went back to Starkhaven. I'm sure he's boring all sorts of people there. Hawke's little brother was off on some warden business near the Anderfell's border last I knew. Aveline is still guard captain. I'm pretty sure Kirkwall would fall into the sea if she quit her job. Need something?
I read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead.
What happened to the mage who destroyed the Kirkwall Chantry? The book never said.
Hawke made him stay to help put out the fire he caused. But eventually he moved on. Nobody else wanted him in Kirkwall. I don't know where he is now, and I don't want to know.
In the book, you say that first Enchanter Orsino turned himself into a giant monster made of corpses. How? Why?
Do I look like an expert on magical weirdness to you? I can't tell you how. For the why, all I can say is he was desperate.
There's no way Hawke really could have killed the Arashok. It would have started a war with the Kunari.
I was told later that the Kunari disavowed his actions. Apparently the Arashok didn't get permission before he attacked Kirkwall, and the Qun didn't want another exalted march. When they finally sent a ship to haul the Red Dreadnought away, they just said, "We will never speak of this again." As far as I can tell, that's the Qun's version of an apology.
Carry on.
Need something?
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
How do you and Cassandra know each other?
You heard about the Kirkwall Chantry being destroyed? The guy responsible used to be a friend of mine. The Seeker had questions about that, and I had answers.
Are you from Ferelden? Orlais?
Free marches, born and raised in Kirkwall. And despite whatever you've heard, no, Kirkwall's not that bad.
I'm not clear on your line of work. You're a merchant?
I'm a businessman. My family has a seat in the Dwarven Merchants Guild. Merchants buy and sell goods. Businessmen buy and sell stores. In my spare time, I manage a spy network, and occasionally, I write books.
If you've run a spy network, why is Leliana our spy master?
To be honest with you, she's just a better spy master. The truly great ones can keep their distance. They don't get attached to their people. Me, I always wind up babysitting my informants and worrying about their families. We're in better hands with her.
You're an author. What kind of books have you written?
I've tried my hands at a few genres. My crime serials are my most popular. Hard in Hightown, guards breaking the rules to get things done. The Tale of the Champion is the most famous thing I've written, or infamous maybe. I started a romance serial once, Swords and Shields, but to be honest, I don't have a knack for romances. Most of my stories end in tragedy. Probably that says something unfortunate about me personally.
What sort of shops do you own?
Actually, we don't own shops. That was just an example. Mostly we invest in moneylenders. Auction houses, a few mercenary companies, a couple of smithies. I think we own half a beet plantation in Ravane somewhere. Most of that's my brother's doing. Bartrand had business sense. Not much tact, but loads of business sense.
Where did you get that crossbow? I've never seen one like it.
Bianca? She's one of a kind. There's a hidden shop in Kirkwall called the Black Emporium. I found her in a barrel labeled swag. The owner sold her to me for a ham sandwich and a pair of yellow ruffled pants.
Who is she named for?
I can't tell you.
And the reason for that is?
Complicated. It's the one story I'll never tell. We just have to leave it at that.
Thanks, Varric.
No problem.
A learned child is a blessing upon his parents. And you've seen no signs of the Grey Wardens anywhere?
Nope.
You're certain?
There's no Grey Wardens, you said?
Nico be with you. We're not paying you to be sarcastic.
You're here. You're the Herald of Andraste. And you were sent to show us we were wrong to be afraid of the mages. I have always respected magic. I think the Maker blessed your rebellion and... I'm Flissa. Can I get you a drink?
It's all right, Flissa. I won't do anything frightening.
If you wanted to close the breach, I wouldn't mind. As I said, I'm Flissa. The Inquisition soldiers needed a place to unwind, so Leliana brought me in to set up a tavern. Nothing fancy, but it's safer for the soldiers than looking for trouble in some village.
You said Leliana asked you to run an Inquisition tavern. How did you meet?
Dumb luck, mainly. I managed an inn back in Tenere. When I heard interesting gossip, I passed word to Leliana. Sometimes it was helpful. She asked if I wanted to own my own tavern, and I said yes. I didn't realize she meant this.
What can you tell me about this area?
Adan is Haven's apothecary. He's been making potions and tending to the wounded as best he can. Harrit is the Inquisition smith. Whatever he can't make you, Thren the quartermaster can probably find. And for anything fancier, you can try buying from Segrit. His prices aren't too high. Yet. Oh, there's also Minave. She studies beasts and things, as I understand.
Farewell.
Goodbye.
The chosen of Andraste, a blessed hero sent to save us all.
Am I riding in on a shining steed?
I would have suggested a griffon, but sadly they're extinct. Joke as you will, posturing is necessary. I've journeyed deep into the fade in ancient ruins and battlefields to see the dreams of lost civilizations. I've watched as hosts of spirits clash to reenact the bloody past in ancient wars, both famous and forgotten. Every great war has its heroes. I'm just curious what kind you'll be.
What do you mean, ruins and battlefields?
Any building strong enough to withstand the rigors of time has a history. Every battlefield is steeped in death. Both attract spirits. They press against the veil, weakening the barrier between our worlds. When I dream in such places, I go deep into the Fade. I can find memories no other living being has ever seen.
You fall asleep in the middle of ancient ruins. Isn't that dangerous?
I do set wards. And if you leave food out for the giant spiders, they are usually content to live and let live.
I've never heard of anyone going so far into the Fade. That's extraordinary.
Thank you. It's not a common field of study for obvious reasons. Not so flashy as throwing fire or lightning. The thrill of finding remnants of a 1,000-year-old dream? I would not trade it for anything. I will stay there. At least until the breach has been closed.
Was that in doubt?
I am an apostate surrounded by Chantry forces in the middle of a mage rebellion. Cassandra has been accommodating, but you understand my caution.
Cassandra trusts you. She won't let anyone put you into a circle against your will.
Thank you. I appreciate the thought. But now let us hope either the mages or the Templars have the power to seal the breach. Closing the breach is our primary goal. But I hope we might also discover what was used to create it. Any artifact of such power is dangerous. The destruction of the Conclave proves that much.
You don't think whatever created the explosion was destroyed in the blast?
You survived, did you not? The artifact that created the breach is unlike anything seen in this age. I will not believe it destroyed until I see the shattered fragments with my own eyes.
Anything with that kind of power is bound to show up sooner or later.
Liliana's people have scoured the area near the blast and found nothing. Whatever the artifact was, it is no longer there. In any case, did you need me for anything?
I'd like to know more about you, Solus.
Why?
You're an elven mage. Not from the Circle, not Dalish. You're an unknown element. If I'm to trust a self-taught apostate with my life, I need to know more about him.
I don't see myself as self-taught. But then, since I have not told you, you'd have no way of knowing that. All right. What can I tell you?
What made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic. But as I slept, spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
Did spirits try to tempt you?
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
I gather you didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interesting.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If our enemies destroyed the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
Well, it's not the worst reason I've heard to go out and enjoy life.
I'm glad to hear it. In truth, I have enjoyed experiencing more of life to find more of the Fade.
How so?
You train your will to control magic and withstand possession. Your indomitable focus is an enjoyable side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
You said you'd traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers, the best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt at Ostagar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Caelan's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire, and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Caelan fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
And you can't tell which is real?
It is the Fade. They are all real.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with Pride and Desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
You trust these spirits not to possess you the first time you accidentally make a wish?
Do you trust your friends not to turn on you?
Well, yes, but they're people.
Ah, of course.
You know what I mean.
Are people only people because they are flesh and blood? Is Cassandra defined by her cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
They're not defined by their bodies, but they do have bodies. You need one to be a person.
A demon possessing a corpse has a body.
A living body.
A demon possesses a living mage to become an abomination.
They didn't make that body, they just took it over.
Technically, your mother created your body. With some help from your father, one assumes?
You've thought about this?
On occasion, yes.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye. Greetings.
What do you know about the Fade?
A great deal from my wanderings. There are few hard facts, but I can share what I have learned.
I'd like to know more about the breach.
Simply put, it is a tear in the veil between this world and the Fade, allowing spirits to enter the world physically. Small tears occur naturally when magic weakens the veil, or when spirits cluster at an area that has seen many deaths. But your mark allows you to exert some control over the breach. That means it was created deliberately.
I'd like to know more about the veil.
Circle mages call it a barrier between this world and the Fade. But according to my studies in ancient elven lore, that is a vast oversimplification. Without it, imagine if spirits entered freely. The Fade was not a place one went, but a state of nature like the wind.
It sounds like it would be wonderful.
And dangerous. But yes, a world where imagination defines reality. Where spirits are as common as trees or grass. Instead, spirits are strange and fearful. And the Fade is a terrifying world touched only by mages and dreamers. I am glad that I'm not alone in seeing the beauty of such a world, along with the obvious peril.
I'd like to know more about demons.
Your circle says that demons hate the natural world and seek to bring their chaos and destruction to the living. But such simplistic labels misconstrue their motivations, and in so doing, do all a great disservice. Spirits wish to join the living, and a demon is that wish gone wrong.
Is there a way to coexist? To live with them? If not in peace, at least without such active confrontation.
Not in the world we know today. The veil creates a barrier that makes true understanding most unlikely. But the question is a good one. and it matters that you thought to ask.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
How do you think they'll close that huge hole in the sky?
Ally with the Templars, I'd imagine? I've seen them weaken magic.
What about the rebel mages?
Rebel mages probably made that damn breach.
Blessed are the peacekeepers, the champions of the just. Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their blood, the Maker's will is written. Is that what you want from us? Blood? To die so that your will is done? Is death your only blessing? You speak for Andraste, no? What does the Maker's prophet have to say about all of this? What's his game?
How is this a game?
Do you see the sky? What about the temple ruins? The bones lying in the dust? Even if you didn't support the Divine's peace, you wouldn't call this right. Who could? So many innocent lives. The faithful murdered where the holiest of holies once stood. If the Maker willed this, what is it if not a game or a cruel joke?
I speak for no one but myself, and I have no answers for you.
Then we can only guess at what he wants. The Chantry teaches that the Maker abandoned us. He demands repentance for our sins. He demands it all. Our lives, our deaths. Justinia gave him everything she had, and he let her die.
I'm sorry. Her death has clearly hit you hard.
Not just me. All of us. She was the Divine. She led the faithful. She was their heart. If the Maker doesn't intervene to save the best of his servants, what good is he? I used to believe I was chosen, just as some say you are. I thought I was fulfilling his purpose for me, working with the Divine, helping people. But now she's dead. It was all for nothing. Serving the Maker meant nothing.
Maybe you have another purpose. I could help you find it.
No, this is my burden. I regret that I even let you see me like this. It was a moment of weakness. It won't happen again. Come, to work then. We will speak later. So it's true. Butler has stand on us. I hope my hunch was wrong.
You knew him well?
Not as well as I thought. Show me the reports. There were so many questions surrounding Faria's death. Did he think we wouldn't notice? He's killed Faria, one of my best agents, and knows where the others are. You know what must be done. Make it clean. Painless if you can. We were friends once.
Wait, what are you doing?
He betrayed us. He murdered my agent.
And you'd kill him, just like that.
You find fault with my decision?
If he has knowledge, then he's a resource. Use him.
He's a loose end who could escape and get word to our enemies. Butler's betrayal put our agents in danger. I condemned one man to save dozens. I may not like what I do, but it must be done. I cannot afford the luxury of ideals at a time like this.
If you don't like what you do, it's a pretty good sign you're doing something bad.
That is certainly one way to put it. Very well. I will think of another way to deal with this man. Apprehend Butler, but see that he lives. Now, if you're happy, I have more work to do. Reports of fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will calm their fears now is the hope that someone out there can save them. You have to be that someone. No one else has any power over the rifts. Seal them. Your legend will spread, and Thedas will learn to trust the Inquisition.
Why do you want me to seek out the rebel mages? Why do you care?
I've known mages. Some of them were better people than me. And yet I'm free and they're not. It's not right.
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
I'd like to hear about Justinia. What was she like?
A friend. A mentor. Like me, she had secrets, made mistakes. It made her human. I think her followers responded to that.
Was there something more than friendship between you?
You're asking if we were lovers? Typical. I was devoted to her, therefore it must be romantic. Love is common. Love is simple. My bond with Justinia was something greater. She was a sister, a mother, a teacher. So to answer your question, yes, it was more than friendship.
How did you and Justinia meet?
I met her a long time ago, before she became divine. Before she was Justinia. When I met her, she was Mother Dorothea. I was at my lowest. Broken, lost. And she saved me. No, wait. She hates it when I say that. I saved myself. She just showed me it was possible.
We'll talk more later.
Did you need something?
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
What is the point of an Inquisition?
Justinia would have started the Inquisition if the Divine Conclave failed to restore peace. She hoped that with enough support, we could challenge the very tenets of the Chantry. She wanted the Chantry to treat the mages fairly. But sometimes I wonder, why stop at mages? The Chantry has committed many injustices. If we're going to change it, why not change the whole thing? It's just a thought. None of this will be possible if we fail.
I'm sorry she didn't live to see the Inquisition.
So am I.
I could use the left hand of the Divine at my side out there.
Every agent out in the world is my eyes, my ears, my blade. Wherever my people are, I am also. Coming with you, leaving my post, would blind and bound me. Do you see?
What exactly does the left hand of the Divine do?
A divine always has enemies, and Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them.
Why did Justinia have so many enemies?
There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. Unlike many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it, and somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm.
So you were her spy master too?
I handled difficult situations that couldn't be resolved through more delicate means.
We'll talk more later.
I'm listening.
Let's talk about you.
Me?
Bards tell tales. I bet you tell some good ones.
There are plenty of tales in the library. Perhaps you should look for them there.
What did you do before you worked for the Divine?
I was a bard, an Orlesian spy for many years. For a time I also served a small cloister in Lothering. After the Blight, the Divine called on me to oversee her personal network.
Can you teach me to be a bard?
Being a bard is so much more than being a spy. It involves a keen understanding of politics, the ebb and flow of influence, the great game. The bard's is an intricate dance where a smile can be sharper than any dagger. The best way to learn is to immerse yourself in it. Perhaps when this is all over, I'll teach you.
I should leave you to your work.
We can always talk later. Did you need something?
You seem to know a great many people.
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
You have a history with the warden who entered the Blight, don't you?
I count her among my closest friends. She's probably the only person I trust completely. I haven't heard from her in some time. She just disappeared. I try not to think about what might have happened.
They say you spent some time in Lothering. Did you know the champion?
We spoke a few times. I seldom left the Chantry, and we never became more than casual acquaintances. I saw more of the Hog twins. Bethany in particular. She would spend time in meditation at the Chantry, and she seemed to like my stories. The other one, the young man, he was a little surly. I did encounter the champion again later in Kirkwall. Those were terrible times.
Was this when the Chantry was destroyed?
No, that happened later. But even then, the news coming out of Kirkwall was disheartening. There were some in Val Royeaux who wanted the Divine to declare an exalted march on Kirkwall. Justina sent me there to see if that could be avoided, to gather evidence to calm those agitating for war. I guess it didn't matter in the end.
We can continue this conversation later.
You know where I am. I'm listening.
You seem to know a great many people.
I have made friends, and on occasion enemies. It's unavoidable.
You seem to know Josephine quite well.
I met her a long time ago, but we didn't become good friends until years later. After the Blight, in fact. I'd just returned to Val Royeaux, and she welcomed me back by throwing a diplomatic ball. She was the Antivan ambassador at the time, you see. The ball was... all right. Too many politicians. At midnight, Josie and I left to find a real party. We've been friends ever since.
What do you consider a real party?
It's not a real party until someone's small clothes are pinned to a chantry board. And that's all I'm saying about it.
We can continue this conversation later.
You know where I am.
All men are the work of our Maker's hands. From the lowest slaves to the highest kings. Those who bring harm without provocation to the least of his children are hated and accursed by the Maker.
The Inquisition cannot remain oppressive if you can't prove it was founded on Justinian's orders.
This is an inopportune time, Marquis. More of the faithful flock here each day. But allow me to introduce you to the brave soul who risked her life to slow the magic of the breach. Sir Trevelyan, may I present the Marquis d'Aurelion, one of Divine Justinia's greatest supporters.
And the rightful owner of Haven. House d'Aurelion lent Justinia these lands for pilgrimage. This Inquisition is not a beneficiary of this arrangement.
This is the first I've heard of Haven having an owner outside the Chantry.
My wife, Lady Machin of Tenere, has claimed to Haven by ancient treaty with the monarchs of Ferelden. We were honored to lend its use to Divine Justinia. She was a woman of supreme merit. I will not let an upstart order remain on her holy grounds.
Interesting, considering the Inquisition was begun by the left and right hands of the Divine.
I've seen no written records from Sister Liliana or Seeker Pentecost that Justinia approved the Inquisition.
If you won't take her at her word, I'm afraid Seeker Pentagast must challenge him to a duel.
What?
It is a matter of honor among the Navarrans. Shall I arrange the bout for tonight?
No. Perhaps my reaction to the Inquisition's presence was somewhat hasty.
We face a dark time, Your Grace. Divine Justinia would not want her passing to divide us. She would, in fact, trust us to forge new alliances to the benefit of all, no matter how strange they might seem.
I'll think on it, Lady Montilyet. The Inquisition might stay in the meanwhile.
Do the Durelions actually have a claim on this place?
His Grace's position is not so strong as he presents it. Despite their Ferelden relations, the Durelions are our legion. If the Marquis wishes to claim Haven, Empress Selene must negotiate with the Ferelden on his behalf. Her current concerns are a bit larger than minor property disputes.
I apologize for the intrusion. I didn't realize you were meeting with the Marquis.
You did little harm. In truth, the debate was most beneficial as practice for those to come.
You expect more people in Haven?
Undoubtedly. And each visitor will spread the story of the Inquisition after they depart. An ambassador should ensure the tale is as complimentary as possible.
May I ask, what brought you to work for the Inquisition?
Sister Leliana approached me. We've been acquainted for quite some time. For better or worse, being the Inquisition's diplomat has become as interesting as she promised.
What sort of dealings have you had with nobility?
For some years, I was the royally appointed court ambassador from Antiva to Orlais. The nobility of Thedas is a rather singular sphere. Those I'm not acquainted with, I know through reputation.
I'm glad for your help. I have a feeling the Inquisition's going to need it.
I do believe you are correct. Thedas' politics have become agitated as of late. I hope to guide us down smoother paths. But please excuse me. I've much work to do before the day is done. What may I do for you?
Tell me how you came to work for the Inquisition again.
I'd been considering leaving my post in Antiva for a new challenge when Leliana recruited me. There's such unrest in Thedas, and the Inquisition seems a promising method to stop it. It's to everyone's benefit if we prevent the Mage-Templar conflict from spreading further.
So was it the prospect of stability that drew you here?
The full impact of the Mage Rebellion has yet to be felt, and that was before the death of the Divine. The violence must be curbed before we see it turn to full-scale war.
I can only imagine the bloodshed if it escalates further.
I'm afraid history holds many examples of what will happen if it does.
How do you and Leliana know each other?
We moved through similar circles in Orlais. I believe we actually met in Val Royaux. Leliana was quite an accomplished player of the game by then.
What exactly do you mean when you say the game?
Forgive me. The game refers to the slow duels of influence among the noble and powerful of Orlais. It's a rather light-hearted name for the matter, but our legions are fond of playful touches.
I'd swear our families have met before.
Perhaps. Everyone of distinction in the Free Marches attends Lady Trevelyan's summer balls.
Great Aunt Lucille always did love a party.
I don't recall seeing you at any of them.
The food was peppered with too many attempts at matchmaking for my tastes.
A common peril among nobility, no matter where one goes.
What business are the Montilyets in exactly?
We began as merchants. My ancestors founded the first trade routes to Rivain. We once sent entire fleets across the Waking Sea.
But not anymore.
No. These days, our vessels are a touch more modest.
What did you do before coming here?
I had the great honor of serving Antiva's crown as ambassador to Orlais. I'm also first in line to become the head of House Montilyet, though my siblings attend to our mercantile affairs.
How strong are your past loyalties?
I would never have given up my position if I did not intend to fully commit to the Inquisition. We cannot fall back on borders. Antiva is as threatened as any country by the rebellions. If anything, the alliances I forged there may help our current cause.
Do you think the Inquisition will continue after we seal the breach?
If we prove ourselves by healing the breach, people may turn to us for other things. Protection, counsel, justice. The Inquisition offered these once to those in need.
Tell me, do you believe I was saved by Andraste at the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I should much like to believe so, Your Worship. The miracles Andraste performed were so long ago, they're difficult to picture. If it were truly her and the Fate who saved you... Well, in any case, many already believe you walk in the Maker's light.
Let's speak later.
Goodbye. What may I do for you?
What exactly does your job entail?
I meet with ambassadors from various factions and countries, and cement alliances with them. We are a young cause. Diplomacy is essential to our credibility.
Then you speak for the Inquisition with these nobles?
I do. Someone must foster goodwill on our behalf, as well as prevent controversy as news of us spreads.
How heavily are our actions scrutinized?
Make no mistake. Every noble house, every throne, is waiting to see what the Inquisition does next. Many are willing to pledge support, if offers are made in just the right fashion. I intend to see that they are.
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
Sir Griffith of Denerim, a most distinguished knight of the realm. He's defeated darkspawn, slain demons, chased down abominations. Just don't ask him about it over dinner. He spares no detail.
If you find anything, please bring it in. You're the Herald. Or, well, the one they're calling the Herald, anyway. It's odd to see them accepting a mage as their hero. First, we're too dangerous to let out of the circles. And then we're apostate rebels. But they seem to like you. My name is Maeve. I research demons and other creatures. Seeker Pentagast and I use what I find to help the soldiers fight them.
You said you were a mage?
No, just an apprentice. I was a year or so from my harrowing, at least. The enchanters were being kind. I was never very good at magic. I've got just enough talent to be a danger to other people. But when the mages rebelled, people like me had nowhere to go. The Templars would have killed us. Luckily, Seeker Pentagast took me in, along with the Tranquil I was protecting.
I found something the demons left behind. Can you use it?
Yes, that's very helpful. Just leave it there and the Tranquil and I will examine it. You've brought back some fascinating things. We're putting them to good use.
You said Cassandra has you researching creatures.
Yes. If you find anything interesting in your travels, I'd appreciate you bringing it to me. I may be able to find some weakness our soldiers can exploit when fighting various creatures. At the least, some materials are useful for making potions or gear for the Inquisition.
I'm surprised that even an apprentice mage wouldn't join the rebellion.
I don't like using magic to fight. I'm not good at it either. I liked studying. I liked performing rituals that helped us unlock the secrets of the Veil. I liked having the Templars around to keep us safe.
A pity the Templars now want to see us all dead or made tranquil.
The problem is not that there are angry people on both sides. The problem is other people listening to their anger. I was born into a Dalish clan. I lived there until my magic manifested. The Dalish cannot risk having too many mages in one clan. And I was one more than they could bear. They gave me a pack and sent me into the woods to find my own life. I was 7 years old.
I'm so sorry.
I stumbled into a village, starving and cold a few weeks later. I started using magic to scare predators away. The villagers saw me make fire in my fist. They were terrified and wanted to kill me. Templars saved me from them. They gave me food and clothes and took me to the Circle. I've seen what life is like without the Templars, and I want no part of it. I just want to study.
You said that you were keeping some of the Tranquil safe.
Yes. The mages took some of them when my Circle rebelled, but the rest were forgotten. You know how the Circle mages saw the Tranquil. They're just there to enchant items and keep the floors clean. They don't have any emotions. They can barely take care of themselves. Can't defend themselves at all. It's a shame. I like them better than most people.
I'm glad they have someone who cares about them.
They deserve better. They're polite, they're rational, and they'll never get angry at you. When they study, they have a focus no normal person could ever match. But the Templars, even some of the mages, mistreated them just because they could. The Tranquil never fought back. If not for that, I don't know. Doesn't really matter now.
Why did you decide to research dangerous creatures?
I like the outdoors. The idea of the outdoors, anyway. When some monster is coming at you, glowing eyes and burning claws, it's terrifying. But once you know how it works, you can deal with it. It's just another part of the world. So much of this world is only frightening because we don't understand it.
I'll speak with you later.
Thank you again for what you've brought back.
My Creator, judge me whole. Find me well within your grace. Touch me with fire that I be cleansed. Tell me I have sung to your approval.